It all began at 1:30 in the afternoon. The phone at Mamma Mia's pizzeria rang again with a simple order: two pizzas. What was strange wasn't the order itself, but the delivery address: a television transmission tower on the outskirts of Erie, a quiet location embraced by trees. Brian, known as a quiet man who rarely troubled anyone, calmly took the order and drove his car down the deserted streets. He arrived at the tower area, a place that should have had no need for pizza. It was from that point that his life veered sharply off the rails. The details of those moments around the tower have never been entirely clear, but one fact is undeniable. A collar-shaped device, cold and heavy, was locked around his neck. In his hands, he received several pages of handwritten instructions. The command was clear and left no choice: go to the nearest PNC bank, demand a large sum of money, and then follow a scavenger hunt, a route that promised to lead him to the keys and codes to release the device from his neck. The words pressed in from all directions: obey or die, be too slow, you die, one wrong move, the same result. Brian returned to his car, no longer just a pizza delivery man, but a hostage guided by a map to safety that might not even be real. Around 2:30 in the afternoon, Brian walked into the PNC Bank at Summit Town Center. He carried a shotgun disguised as a walking cane. He also carried a note with his orders: $250,000, 15 minutes, don't try anything foolish, someone is watching. Around his neck, the threat pulsed silently. The terrified teller followed procedure. The bank couldn't access that much cash in such a short time. All they could gather was $8,702, a figure that, to anyone, was nowhere near the amount demanded on the paper. Brian took it and walked out. For someone racing against time with a device around his neck, that amount wasn't a victory, just a ticket to the next step. The air outside was hotter and more real. Brian walked toward his car, carrying the money, the instruction sheets, and what was left of his belief that the scavenger hunt would lead him to safety. But not long after he left the bank, an emergency call was made. The police moved quickly. They found Brian standing near his car in the parking lot of an eyeglass store not far away. In a haze of fear, he tried to explain. Someone else had forced him. There was a scavenger hunt he had to follow. There were keys and a combination that could release the device as long as he was on time. The police called the bomb squad. Safety protocols forced them to keep their distance, to restrain the instinct to get closer, because one rash decision could escalate the disaster. News cameras had already arrived as those minutes stretched out cruelly. Brian sat on the asphalt, waiting for something that was coming too slowly, yet was arriving too fast to outrun. He begged for the device to be removed. He said his time was almost up. In his car, the instruction sheets served as proof that he wasn't making it all up. At the same time, time, the quietest enemy, marched on without compromise. At approximately 3:18 in the afternoon, 30 minutes after the robbery and just a few minutes before the bomb squad reached the scene, the device around Brian's neck exploded. In a few seconds, the crowd froze, voices overlapped in a cacophony, and then a prolonged silence. Brian Wells died at the scene. That afternoon, a life was extinguished, and it was precisely at that moment that a long series of questions had only just begun.